I'm off. I'm not on.
Yeah, nobody's on. We have no internet.
We didn't pay the internet bill.
All right, we're on air at this time. We're going to go ahead and get started with the special city commission meeting for Monday, April 8th, 2024. We are having some technical difficulties still, so City Clerk, if you can please call the roll.
Commissioner Avila Vasquez? Present. Commissioner Colwell?
Here.
Commissioner Harriet?
Here.
Commissioner McCool?
Here.
Commissioner Shimkus?
Here.
Vice Mayor Jody Lee?
Here.
Mayor Avila?
Here. All right, at this time, if we can please stand for the pledge. I'll ask Commissioner Avila Vasquez to lead us in the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. This time, we're going to go ahead and enter into the final selection of city manager candidates by the City Commission. And if we're gonna, yeah, thank you, Vice Mayor. If we want to talk, if you can just get your name tag and just flip it up like the Vice Mayor did, we can start that way. Who's gonna start, City Manager?
Mayor and Commission, Vice Mayor, in front of you, you have a recommendation from the City Manager's Search Committee. We're looking for you all to give us the final, what you want for the interviews for the City Manager. And we're going to talk about the procedure to select a finalist. So I think you have in front of you, at least, you should have the names. Do you want me to read them off to you?
Yes, please. We don't, what we don't have, I think, available is the ranking sheet.
Okay.
Oh, I don't have that. Okay, thank you, Joyce. We have to cross off Silverman as he has withdrawn from the. Joyce, what about the ranking sheet from?
From the board.
Mm-hmm.
I can get you a copy of that.
Please. Who else up here needs a copy of the ranking sheet from the board? Commissioner Colwell, do you have one, Commissioner McCool?
I would like one.
So I think the only one that has one is Commissioner Avila Vasquez.
Because I printed mine.
Yes, you did.
Yes. Thank you, woman. Here you go.
So Mayor, if I may, The ladies are getting together the finalist list that the committee recommended, and I'm going to read those to you in just a moment. I know that stuff was emailed out, but I don't have it in my packet, so they're getting it to me here in just a second.
Want to make a copy of this one?
Commissioner Vila Vasquez has one if you want to make a copy of hers,
Well, maybe to send it out.
or maybe not.
I have a copy of the rankings if you would like me to read them to you.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Okay, so Scott Andrews, so they ranked the candidates, all 8 candidates, 1 through 8. 1 was the highest, 8 was the lowest, so this is like golf where the lowest number is the top spot. Andrew had 19. Doherty had 29. Doc Doherty. Silverman had 50, but as the mayor said, he's withdrawn. Suggs had 51. Davis, 54. Miller, 60. Hayes, 62. And Glenn, 71.
Thank you. All right, so this is Section A, which is the final selection of the city manager candidates by the city commission. So we have the straw preferences, the straw poll finalists, and city manager, you want us to start this, or is the consultant going to do?
Lynn, you want to run this portion? Okay, so the committee, as she said, you know, that she gave you the score. So they had Mr. Andrews is number 1, Mr. Daugherty is number 2, number 3 was Suggs, number 4 was Davis, number 5 was Miller, number 6 was Hayes, and Mr. Silverman had dropped out.
All right, so we have Commissioner Jody Lee, and then Commissioner Maritza, or Commissioner Vila Vasquez on the board. We'll start with you two, and just so you know, we have 3 different sections. I'd like to get public comment on each and every one of those sections. I think it's only fair. We really don't have a lot of public anyway, so it should not consume too much time, but they're here, so I like for us to listen to our residents. So we'll start with Vice Mayor Jody Lee, and then Commissioner Vila Vasquez.
Thank you, Mayor. I was looking at this list and all the people coming. I think we should stick, my personal opinion, is stick with the citizen committee that came up with it. But I do have an issue with, some might say there's no issue, some might say it is, but I understand one of the people who are on this list have already came to City Hall and met with the city manager and had a couple-hour conversation with them. That's Suggs. And I don't know if that's fair to the rest of the people on this list, because they haven't, hear me out, please. They haven't had the same opportunity to come here and do the same thing. So I don't, if it doesn't bother everybody else, then I'm fine with it too. I was just saying, I know one person has already been here, and I already came and talked with Glenn for a while in his office. So that just catches me as, I mean, I don't care. I'm just letting everybody know that
Mayor,
just one person did it.
can I comment?
Please.
Okay, yes, Mr. Suggs had called, and he had a couple of questions he wanted to ask about the city and about events and things like that. He came by the office. I talked to him for about 45 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes in that time frame, but it was mostly he was just asking some questions about the city itself, like infrastructure and things like that. I didn't, you know, I only answered him directly the questions that he asked. I didn't So that's all.
So other than that, I say go along with what the Citizen Select Committee said was a top 5, to go with the top 5. And if any of these people that are in the top 5, like I believe Mr. Silverman dropped out, then I would go to the next person on the list and invite them. And if anybody that's on this list doesn't come to the meet and greet and to meet the residents, I think they should be excluded. Because I think, I mean, with what we're trying to do, we need to get somebody that if, you know, they should be watching what's going on. They've been following emails. They know to come here. They know it's coming. I hope they've made plans that, because seeing we're going to end up buying them plane tickets and stuff to come here, I would hope that they would change their schedule to allow them to be here, to meet the residents and the commission. That's all, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Villa-Vasquez, then Commissioner Dana McCool.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I want to give a big shout out and thank you to the City Manager Selection Committee. They did an awesome job. They spent a lot of time here in this room, going back and forth, making suggestions, making comments, dismissing, adding. I just want to say thank you very much. I know that there's 2 of them here. Thank you for your time. You did an awesome job. Your selection was absolutely awesome. You picked nothing but the best from the list, and I agree. I would like to go with what the committee selected, with the first 3 candidates that were selected from the list, which was Andrew, Doc, and I guess we just are going to have to go with Suggs now. And to your comment, Vice Mayor, the interim city manager might have had a meeting with him, but he's not the one that's hiring him. So I don't think he has any, that doesn't affect the hiring if he should be the one. So that's my input. Again, thank you to the, I know that the chair of that committee sent out an email. It was a very positive email, very constructive, and she did make a big plea to the commissioners up here to please, go with their suggestion, because they did spend a lot of time into what we have in front of us. Thank you. I'm sorry?
You said you want to go to the top 3?
I want to go with the top 3, Andrews, Doc, and Suggs, because Silverman was number 3, but he got out.
Okay, Commissioner Dana McCool.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Question, who can ever answer this, whether it be the actual recruiter, Glenn, attorney. Did Mr. Suggs violate any part of the policy and procedure laid out prior to in the process? Was there any policy violated regarding him making a visit to City Hall? As part of the procedure, was there anything violated by the recruiter? Was there anything in writing that stated that someone could not visit? Can I have that answered?
From my perspective, I can speak from the consultant. There was no violation. We encourage the candidates to do as much research as they can. They don't normally come in person, but he lives in Florida, so that's a little bit easier for him. It's important that the candidates do research on the communities that they're interested in. So it would be a little bit different. We do discourage contacting the elected officials just because, as stated earlier, they are the hiring, there should be separation there because they make the hiring decision, and Mr. Suggs was respectful of that. So
Thank you. That's where I wanted to go with this, okay? Because it wasn't clearly stated by us. So to me, that shows incentive. You know what I mean? I would be doing pretty much the same thing. Number 2, in any chance now that this has been submitted, can we ask questions of the committee members, or what? Let me restate that. when is there a proper time that we can ask questions of the committee and how they voted the way they voted?
They're not sunset yet.
Huh?
They're not sunsetted yet. So you wouldn't be able to have a conversation with them. We'd have to have a joint meeting for that.
Okay. It has to be a noticed meeting? We can't ask in this format, right? This is, if we have, I'm saying we have members here now, this is, I know we've not sunsetted, but I'm just asking for a clear policy on that.
No, because I have two members in the audience, so. if one
Together, okay,
speaks, yeah.
gotcha.
The minutes, I will tell you, I've made them almost verbatim, so everybody has what they said, and they are published, so.
And I listened to the meeting also. That's all I have. So is this going to be a consensus thing where we choose I'm asking for clarity because at one time the number 5 was mentioned and another time 3 were mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
So can I ask for clarity on that? Can I
She
ask
wants
for
to know
clarity?
clarity.
Ultimately, if I can just interject, we recommend that you interview 5 because a lot of times what you see on paper, it's different when you meet them in person. And so the more people that you can see within reason, the more likely you are to find the right person. More than 5, the process gets a little bit unwieldy. But ultimately, that is your decision. So if you choose to interview 3, then we will redo the interview schedule and we'll have you interviewing 3 candidates. So it's your choice. But we do recommend 5.
But Joyce, that spreadsheet says 5, or like is arranged for 5, correct?
Yes, but we can make adjustments.
Yeah, no. I like that because there is the human factor correlation, especially in public, how they act. Yeah, I like the number 5. I know 3 would be more concise, but I think that having 5 for not only us, but for the public will give us a better sampling. So for that reason, I'm suggesting that we do follow through with the 5. The spreadsheet and the interview schedule is already set up. Well, last question. This is not sunsetted, but and I don't want it stated publicly, that's why I'm asking on record, okay? May an individual member of the commission ask questions one-on-one with I want that clear.
Correct. One-on-one you can, which is why through this whole process,
Right.
I have encouraged them to individually email you guys with any questions, concerns, their choices, whatever they wanted to, reiterate to you guys. So that you would have an easier.
Yeah, based on this, then, would not our top 5 be the 5 here with the lowest score and let's get on with it? Yes? Okay. What do we need to do? I'm sorry?
We have Commissioner Harriet and then Commissioner Avila.
Okay, thank you. I'm done, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Go ahead, Commissioner Harriet, and then Commissioner Avila Vasquez.
I like the idea of picking 5, just like everybody said, 1 through 5. We've already got them listed in order from the selection committee. I think we ought to just be on with it. Make a motion.
Correct. Is that it, Mr. Harriet?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Avila Vasquez.
Thank you, Mayor. So the committee has selected 3 finalists, and then they decided to add 2 as backups. That's why we came up with 5.
Alternates.
Right, alternates. Joyce, so 1 is out. Silverman is out. That leaves us with 4. Do we continue with 4?
It's completely up to you guys. It sounds like you guys want to interview 5, so you would do Andrews, Davis, Doherty, Suggs, and then you would end up doing, looks like Miller. That would be your
So one of the committee members did recommend having a top 3 with 2 alternates, but ultimately the committee decided to recommend the top 5. And so that was in the email, which is where you saw that, but it was later adjusted to being the top 5 in the meeting.
Thank you. Commissioner Avila Vasquez, are you done?
Yes, Mayor, thank you.
Okay, I'd like to hear from the public, if that's okay. Or Commissioner Colwell, and then we'll listen to the public.
Just to be clear, so we are not ranking, we're just checking the 5 that we want, okay.
Correct.
Albert Bryan.
You know, when we did this for Jane, what caused the problem was when individual commissioners actually did their interviews. That's what started the whole problem with Jane. So I would assume that y'all wouldn't really want to do the same thing over again, because normally when you do the same thing over again, it's considered idiocy. Now, Jody, to your statement, you said something about a guy coming in here and talking to the manager. The manager doesn't have anything to do with this process at all, period. Y'all make decisions, and the Citizens Board made the decision. He had nothing in the decision, so there's nothing wrong with that. Now, that being said, didn't one of the candidates that was on this list come to the City Hall and got walked around by a commissioner last time? If I remember right, that's what happened. So, now you talk about the top 5, and one dropped out. But the Citizens Committee, from what I saw, rated all of them. So you would still have 5. One would just move up. Pretty simple. Don't make this any harder than it has to be. Now, as far as citizens that aren't on the board having time to be able to come in here and sit down and talk with them, we need to have what I consider an open floor, them sitting at a desk where we can walk up and basically ask them questions and limit them to a minute per answer, or as close as they can get to it. So every citizen that comes up here to ask them questions has an ability to ask them questions. Because at the end of the day, this process needs to include every citizen who wants to ask questions. That's what we asked for originally. That's why I've asked over the years, continuously, nonstop, for this process. Thank you.
And I know we usually don't this, but I just, Mr. Elber, can I ask you just for clarification? You're saying something like what we did with the city manager, or sorry, city attorney selection, where the residents came in and spoke to the different city attorneys?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. So is everybody, all right, Vice Mayor Jody Lee, and then is there anybody else that has public comment? Okay, not for that item. Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I believe Mr. Albert Bryant has a point. I think in between our interview process that we're doing that Saturday, that we should, we should make time, if they're not talking or sometime in there, make it where, I think Friday, that's 2 hours on Friday. Even on Saturday, between our interviews, when we're talking to them, they should be able to, in between, if they're not discussing something, if they have the time or however we're doing it. Oh. Well, I'm saying some of these people that, does everyone on this list live far away? It has to be flown in? That's going to be on the top 5? Because there might be, I mean, like Suggs is evidently close. So he might be able to spend a little bit more time talking to residents. Was that?
Snuggs is the only one that's.
I mean, I'm just saying, it should be, I mean, Friday, to answer your, like, Ms. Bryan, they're all going to be here on Friday, too, for a couple hours from Friday evening, where they're going to be here just to get to know, let people come and hammer them with questions, and I know you will.
So let's keep.
And that's what we need.
Let's keep on that's actually in the next section. That's in
Okay,
section B. So let's keep that in mind. So right now, what we need is consensus on the top 5. I think everybody brought up great points. We all picked those that were on the citizen committee board. So I don't think any of us should have any objections with the top 5. To the residents' point that Mr. Silverman dropped out, you know what, the next one moves up. I agree with that. So if I can get consensus from this dais to move forward with the top 5, which would be Mr. Andrews, Doherty, okay, Snuggs, Davis, and Miller, then we can move forward and make the process a lot quicker. Can I get consensus from the dais?
Could you just go down that list again?
Sorry?
Could you just go down that list again?
Andrews, Daughtery, I can't. Okay, Doc for short.
Yeah.
Yep.
Snuggs, Davis, and Miller.
Suggs. That's why.
Suggs. I have my glasses. I'm sorry, guys. Suggs. Okay, Suggs. I apologize. I snugged the poor.
Yes.
All right, so we'll just a simple, because we do have two, Commissioner Harriet, I see your hands up, and Commissioner Shimkus, your hands up as well. Go ahead, both of you. We'll start with Harriet and then Commissioner Shimkus.
Sorry, my hand was up from earlier and forgot to put it down.
His hand was up. His hand was up from earlier, so he put it back down.
Thank you, Commissioner Harriet. Commissioner Shimkus?
Thanks. Yeah, I was just going to actually just make a motion to accept the top 5 and move forward with getting them. So if you want to go for consensus, I'm good with that. Moving on.
We need an actual motion, correct?
I would think you need to do a motion and vote on it, yes.
And I would love to make a motion to accept the committee's recommendation and invite the top 5 to come in for an interview this weekend.
Thank you. There's a motion by Commissioner Shimkus and a second by Commissioner Avila Vasquez. That Suggs kind of threw me off, and now I'm messing up all the names.
We apologize in advance, Mr. Snuggie.
All right, we're gonna have to do a verbal vote. We have a motion and a second. City Clerk, can you please do a verbal vote?
Commissioner Avila Vasquez?
Yes.
Commissioner Colwell?
Yes.
Commissioner Harriet?
Yes.
Commissioner McCool?
Yes.
Commissioner Shimkus?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jody Lee?
Yes.
Mayor Avila?
Yes. All right. Motion passes unanimously, correct? 7-0, okay. So we're going to go ahead and move to Section B, which is the discussion regarding the city manager interview process. And just because that's where Vice Mayor left off and I kind of rudely cut you off, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that how it's going to transpire, that everybody that has the time, because, of course, we all know 100,000 people in the city, we're probably going to get 20 people in here to talk to them. So but I want to make sure, they have that time to let the citizens discuss whatever that they care to discuss with them, their concerns, their opinions, their voices, and that's what we need to have. And I'm hoping in between the time on Saturday, if any of the residents are here, because I know it hasn't been put out for residents to be here Saturday, but if any of them do have time, I think we should make it where in between them, it might be a little chaotic. I know, I get it. Sorry, Joyce, but if citizens have time and they need to come and they want to even talk to them a little bit if they get a second, I think that should be allowed. I mean, it's supposed to be letting everybody work together at this, and I want to, we're already starting it. Let's continue. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Avila Vasquez, then Commissioner McCool.
I have a question for Joyce. Joyce, Friday is what?
So Friday, the candidates will come in and they'll do a tour from 1 to 4, and then
With staff?
With staff, right. Usually the chief or somebody, they take their van because it's the biggest, and they all load up in there and they go around the whole city. I believe Glenn will be with them as well. And then, which is the normal process we've done in the past. And then they'll be let go to roam around town, get dinner or whatever, and then 5:30 to 7:30, they're in here. We'll have high top tables. We'll have some chairs along the side, but for the most part, it's to meet and greet like we did with the city attorney, where they can come and ask them questions and that kind of thing. And that will have staff, commission, and the residents will all be in here, and there'll be like some hors d'oeuvres and things like that for them to have, and drinks and stuff like that.
That's Friday as well?
Friday night. That's 5:30 to 7:30, correct. And then Saturday, we'll have a brief kind of just juice and muffins or something early in the morning. And then I believe they've got the schedule at 9 o'clock starting for interviews. So you'll all be lined up down the hall Everybody will be in a room separately, and then we'll put each commissioner in there, and then you'll have whatever time limit you guys set for. If you wanted something different than the schedule that's already been presented to you, you'll just need to let us know that so we can revamp that schedule. As the time gets close and you get to your 20 minutes, let's say, I know it's longer than that, but we'll start knocking on the doors, rotate, and we'll start shifting all of the candidates down the line so that everybody gets to talk to each and every one of the candidates. Then once that is all done, which is going to take up most of the day for 5, then we're going to do down here a special commission meeting from 5:30 till whenever we get done. So you're going to interview them in the public, just like you're having a meeting now. And then you can either decide that night who you're choosing, or you can, I'm going to have it on Monday's meeting also in case that does not happen, in case you guys want the rest of the weekend to kind of mull it over or whatever. I'll have it on the next meeting as well, which will be Monday the 15th.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Commissioner McCool?
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate and restate also the point of the public, general public, having access again, and also the reception. I'm sorry, I'm cloudy on what night that should be. I heard Joyce, but like the big reception that it talks about in here, is that evening, Friday evening?
Yes, ma'am. The meet and greet will be on Friday evening.
Okay, and I'm trying to be verbatim here. Is that public also? I'm just trying to read it. It's not, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, Fridays, like I'm sorry if I
Yes,
didn't
it
hear
is.
all because I was trying to read.
Everybody is in the
Yes.
room on Friday. Residents are in here, commissioners are in here, staff is in here, everybody is in the room.
Okay.
That's what we've done in the past. Like I said, they're not sitting technically at a table. We're going to
Right.
have high tops like to put your drinks down and, your food and that kind of thing, but everybody comes in and everybody gets to find that person, and they'll be walking around. That's what
Okay, so, I mean, is it conducive, is it okay to extend that time? Because from 6 until what, Joyce? 5:30 to 7:30. Well, no, the reception here, it said, I understand what Joyce said, but from 5:30 to 7:30? Correct. Okay, I'm just going to put this out here, that we have some parents that might like to attend. I would just suggest, y'all, if we could, just to extend it maybe by 30 minutes, because sometimes parents get done with dinner 6:30, and then by the time they get here, you know what I'm saying, 7, and then Friday night being sports night, whatever, but I think that just even extending it by 30 minutes, they can do a drop-in for 30 minutes if their schedule, you know what I'm saying? Or even work. If you get off at work at 6 o'clock in Orlando and have to come through here through traffic, you don't get in here until after 7 sometimes, and then to try to grab a bite to eat. I know we'll have reception, but I'm really trying to maybe
That's why this
extend
is
it.
on the agenda, so that you guys can tweak this schedule.
Yeah.
Decide what you want. So you want to move it by half hour? Everybody's okay with that?
To
Move
8
it-
p.m. Would that be okay with?
Yes, that's certainly fine.
Okay, then,
Certainly.
yeah, I think that.
And the other thing I was going to say is, as far as the tour goes, I don't necessarily have to go on the tour with them. That was just something we were thinking. I can stand back from all that and let other staff take them on a
Oh,
tour.
absolutely not, Glenn.
No, I'm just saying, I can.
Absolutely.
I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, and let's see. I'm sorry, I had one more. The public interviews also, right? That will be each elected has, okay. Okay, so that's what I wanted to ask. The timing here for Joyce for the public, I apologize. I was just trying to find the information on the question I was trying to ask you. The public interviews on Saturday here, if time permits, more questions may be asked. Typically, each candidate interview lasts between 15 and 25 minutes. Okay. Is that attended also, is that when it says public, is that attended by actual public also? That's why I'm asking.
public can attend. It is a public meeting, but it would be the commissioners who are asking the questions. And so they can observe the process, and then if you want to schedule time at the end for public comment where they can come up to the podium and give you your thoughts, that's also very appropriate. It's how you want to handle it, and we'll adjust accordingly.
Sounds like you're talking about the special meeting for the full commission interviews, right?
Yeah, the public interview, yeah.
Yes, Saturday night.
Have input from the public, so you'll have that input.
Okay. Because the reason I'm asking is that this is my line of thought. I have probably 2 questions that are very personal to me, right, to ask for them. Huh? Please, I don't need any more of that in my life. But the reason I was asking that is because after Friday's public, my question would be, I would solicit from the public, right? I want to ask my constituents what last questions they want to ask if they didn't have time to ask questions after Friday night's meeting. So that's why I was asking for clarification on that. I'm going to request that my residents send me questions and select a couple, because they won't have another interview after Friday, or time after Friday night, and then they'll probably have questions after Saturday morning's proceedings too. So that's where I was going with that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You should decide too, where do you want public comment, before, after? Because I'm assuming they're going to want to hear all of them, answer your questions, and then speak. But it's up to
Yeah, I
you
would
guys.
like that, and then I would like, for me personally, I would like. Oh God, that's a deep question right there.
Because this one, we put public comment at the end. That's my fault. It should have been at the beginning. But I'm kind of thinking they'll want to hear what you ask and what the answers are and then comment on it.
Right, in case something is lost, you know what I mean? Yeah, absolutely.
How about both?
It's up to you guys.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Shimkus?
Yeah, so I just wanted to see, I'm fine with the schedule. I think the schedule's fine, and I said I get half an hour, just fine as well. I just wanted to get to the, if we're at the point where we're talking about what are the questions that are going to be part of the public interview, are those already set? Do we have a list to choose from, or how are we going to set those questions that the public interview is going to contain? And as part of that, I'd like to perhaps suggest that the commission put out what I'll call an operational question in advance of this meeting on a single topic that we can agree on, and I have a couple in mind that they can come prepared for. I know that's been, I'm not sure if it's been done before. I thought it would be an interesting idea to have them understand at least one of the emerging issues here in Deltona that the commission can agree on, and have them come prepared to the interview with some response to that, so we can get a sense of how they plan and what they can talk about, and judge them all against a single topic for consistency, if that makes sense.
I will tell you that we've had questions in the past, and not all the commission has agreed with those questions. I thought Linnell sent out a sample of questions in an email for you guys to kind of choose. We've also decided in the past that all the same questions were asked of each candidate. Again, this is stuff that you all have to
Yeah.
decide how you're going to do that.
I was just going to make that same comment. The last time we did an interview, we had the same questions. And I know some commissioners got off the subject of the questionnaire, and a lot of residents complained that we shouldn't be asking the same questions. So,
If I may then, on that topic specifically, sorry to interrupt, I can understand having a set of questions, 3 to 5 questions that we're going to ask every candidate, but I fully expect that we will be able to meander through that if they have an answer that triggers a different thought or a follow-up question. And just because we ask a follow-up question to one does not mean that same follow-up question has to be asked to everyone. We can certainly set, again, a set of 3 or 5 questions for everyone, but I do want and expect the freedom to be able to have them answer and have a follow-up and have the conversation go in a direction that we may not understand or may not get from every candidate based on their individual experience.
If that's okay with the commission, I actually agree with that. I mean, are you done, Commissioner?
That was my expectation also.
Yeah, I'm done for that. And like I said, I'll just come back to if we can agree on a operational question to ask in advance. I don't want to say the topic if we don't agree on this, but I'd like to, again, have them come prepared with a stock answer to some specific question about Deltona in some way.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
Are you done, Commissioner Shimkus?
Yes, thank you.
And we'll come right back to that, I guess, at the end, and we'll get a full consensus, so.
But thank you, Mayor. On that one, I just assume take the 4 or 5 top questions and email them to them, let them just respond to everybody and send it out there. I think everybody here is going to ask different questions, and to get the same generic question and canned answers is going to be not conductive to what we want. I mean, we all have different trains of thoughts. We should be able to ask them, like the residents, whatever the heck comes to your mind, what's important to you, what's important to me might be different than you, Mayor. To, Commissioner Caldwell at the end, I think you should be able to ask any questions. It shouldn't be canned questions to get generic answers. And I mean, I agree with Commissioner Shimkus on part of it, but the whole, I understand the generalized questions and the point of it, but it kind of defeats its purpose. I mean, you're gonna give them the questions. They're all gonna. We all know. You get time. You're gonna give the best answer possible, and I'd rather catch them off guard, off the cuff, and you're gonna learn a lot more about a person and how fast they can respond instead of canned questions and canned answers. It's just my opinion.
I have a question, Joyce. Sorry, I want to make sure everybody's gone. When are the candidates going back home?
Depends
I mean, we're buying their tickets.
They're all making their own travel arrangements, so it really just depends on them.
The reason I'm asking is because I think it would be more conducive to the city as a whole if we have our special meeting where we're asking questions. We're still going to have a meeting on Monday, correct? Why would we rush into voting for who we're going to pick that day? Can't we?
But that's why I've stated that on Monday's meeting we'll also have.
And that's what I'm trying to get to is, can we not have a Sunday, just in case for the residents that, some residents work Monday through Saturday. I mean, if my boss really wanted me to, he'd make me work Sunday to Sunday, which that's not going to happen. But can we not have an extra day, just one extra day, like on a Sunday, where, I don't know, maybe I should be asking you, I don't want to get in trouble. Can we not have an extra day where maybe on a Sunday, the folks that, get out of their church or whatever have you, they can come in and have that additional day to ask the questions? Because residents can always email us, call us, or send us messages.
I get that, and I agree with you, Mr. Mayor. But don't forget, there's some of these candidates that are still currently have jobs, so they might be planning their time to come down here and get back to work for Monday morning.
I'm just trying to figure out a way
I agree.
we can squeeze a little bit more time out of them, just so the residents have an extra go, because I get that complaint sometimes, not from a lot of people. I'm not sitting here and say a lot of people, but I remember last year when I was on the other side, it was very difficult, and I would hear from the audience that, like I said, some of them work Monday through Saturday. And maybe on a Sunday it would be beneficial. Maybe, Thursday, I don't know. Just, is there a way we can get an additional day for our residents to have some more time with the candidate? Go ahead.
Sorry, if I can interject, that is for you to decide. The fact that some of them do have jobs is a consideration, but if you did a Sunday morning, kind of a Sunday morning brunch where they could have more interaction and it would still give them time in the day to fly, we can totally add that into the schedule if that's what you want to do. And while if I can go back to the earlier topic, so with the candidate reports, we sent out a list of questions. It's 100 questions or something. It's a little bit unwieldy. Tomorrow I will be emailing out an evaluation guide where we kind of picked out the questions that we would ask if we were the hiring authority, and I will get that emailed out to you either tonight or first thing in the morning. And then as far as the process goes, that again is up to you, how you want to handle it. But typically, you can either use questions from the evaluation guide or you can write your own questions. You're not limited to our their evaluation guide, of course. But typically the elected officials will just take turns asking a question that's important to them. And they'll just go in order, each picking their question either from the evaluation guide or one that they have prepared on their own.
Thank you. Let's go to public comment, and then I'll come back to you, Vice Mayor. Oh.
Albert Bryan?
All right, two things. One, if you're going to have meet and greet for the public on Friday night, I would appreciate the fact that y'all don't stand over me when I'm asking questions, that y'all stay off to the side and or otherwise. I don't care. But to have y'all here, you could be intimidating some of the citizens, not so much me because I don't really care, but you could be intimidating some of the residents to where they don't want to ask some of the questions that they want to ask pertinent to a particular candidate. Now, the other thing is, if you're going to have this Friday night for citizens and then Saturday or whenever the next meeting is for the citizens and y'all, you need to put some kind of message board out on Howland Boulevard, some kind of message board out on Saxon Boulevard, wherever you have the most influx of citizens in and out of the city all this week. So they know that you're going to have manager candidates here. And I'm sorry, you should be the only one taking them around the city. I mean, flat out. He's the manager now. He should show them around what's going on. No other staff should show them other than him. The other thing I would suggest, if you're going to take and have a meeting here on Saturday where the public can sit and watch while y'all ask questions, that's fine. But the way I'm understanding the schedule, y'all are going to have two set of times to ask questions, one individually and one up here in public. Y'all can ask pertinent questions, whatever you want, during your private time with each individual ones. And then y'all need to be able to ask a set of questions and then a set of individual questions. So in other words, last time they weren't allowed to ask any questions that were off the rails. Like Sosa wanted to ask about budget. He wasn't allowed to. There's a problem there with that. What y'all ask in private is one thing, but what you ask here in public, what we hear, that's another thing.
Jim Pesha?
Two things. I'm not a big fan of predetermined questions when you're doing an interview like this. It doesn't show you how they can think on their feet and respond. They come in and they give you the same pat answer to every one of your questions. You learn nothing. Roll with it. Each one is individual. Each one of you are individuals. Each one of you have different concerns, different things to be worried about. Those are what should be asked, and you only got a few minutes in which to do it. And if you spend half of it asking a predetermined question, we all lose. Please, don't tie yourself down. Number two, I'm glad I'm going to be able to come in here on Friday and talk to them for a few minutes. My question is, and I haven't heard it, and I've been listening real hard, when do I get to tell you my feelings and impressions of them? Is that going to be Monday night before you vote so that you can get my input and Albert's and a few others? That has to be part of the process. I haven't heard it mentioned at all. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Commissioner McCool and then Vice Mayor Jody.
I naturally assumed, not cross-talking, but I naturally assumed that on Monday night, that's what we were going to hear is the input from the public on there. I mean, not only that, but I read my emails usually every day on that matter. So especially paying attention as we go through this process. So I'm putting that out for public information. You can call me, you can email me, and then again, speak to me at either one of the meetings or speak to me Monday night under public comments or speak to all of us under public comments. So that's when I assumed that general public comments on the matter would be, they would speak during that time. I'm sorry, I just want to ask, Monday night's meeting, is that considered a special?
It's a regular commission meeting.
Regular commission meeting. So, with that being said, under this agenda item, then the public is allowed 4 minutes comment, right?
Correct.
I just want the
It's just like
public.
any other regular meeting.
Well,
They have the public comment, and then you'll have public comment at each item.
right. So, I just want to make sure that evening also, as we're wrapping up, that the public feels like they have sufficient time to express their comments regarding the matter as we wind up. So if there was a time constraint, I just would ask Mr. Mayor to ask for consensus that we really do, on that final night, allow, you know what I mean?
4 minutes.
Yeah, 4 minutes under every item, because it's hard to express that, you know what I mean?
And you're just talking about Mondays, not Saturdays, because Saturday's special meeting is 2 minutes.
Are we okay? I'm okay with 4 minutes for Saturday as well, if the commission is okay with that.
Given, and Mr. Mayor, I am too, because I want to say this. We have a very responsible sector of community that shows up, and it's frustrating. I sat 8 hours at a county meeting last week just to speak for 3 minutes, and it reminded me of the frustration of not being able to be heard. So I'm asking for a consensus on that matter, that we allow 4 minutes under all public comments regarding the city manager selection until the process is finished, if that would be okay. Because we only have a certain amount of people really that consistently show up. So I think that in being respectful to the process, that we ask for a little leeway, if that's okay. Joyce, Mr. City Manager,
It's
attorney,
completely up
whoever
to you
needs to
guys.
chime in, commission. Mr. City
We
Manager.
just need a simple
Yes.
consensus,
Yes, I don't-
correct?
Yeah, I don't think it's a problem. I'm looking over, I don't
No, I
think it's
just
a problem
have
with
to
the 4
make sure
minutes.
that I notice it and that the agenda
Yeah.
actually reads 4 minutes, as long as everybody agrees.
So, Mr. Mayor, at this time, I would respectfully ask the commission for consensus that under all public comments for this process, that we allow 4-minute public comment.
Joyce, do you want, because we have 2 on Zoom, do you want to do a verbal consensus? Just, yeah, just make it easier. That way we can hear everybody.
Do you have the thing?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, if we can.
Just going to do consensus first.
Commissioner Avila-Vasquez?
Yes.
Commissioner Colwell? Commissioner Harriet?
Yes.
Commissioner McCool?
Yes.
Commissioner Shimkus?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jody Lee?
Yes.
Mayor Avila?
Yes.
Sound.
Are you done, Commissioner McCool?
I am.
Okay. Vice Mayor Jody Lee, and then I'll say 1 or 2
Yeah,
things.
I agree with Commissioner McCool on all that, and I'm glad everybody came to the consensus about the 4 minutes. The residents' input is important, and I don't know if anybody notices, but we're already doing something that Deltona hasn't done before. Like the last city manager, nobody else had input. They got to say stuff, but nobody took what they said to heart. And I believe there was another city manager, I think it was Jane Chang, the select committee never even selected her. She was never even on the top list, and next thing you know, she became a city manager. So we're already doing a different trend, and so I hope we continue this path. We're doing what the residents want more, and not just picking what we want. That's all.
So can I ask of the commission as a request? I think the residents came up with a suggestion, or they pretty much, I know it was only one, but I'm sure others feel the same way, as a petition, right? We're going to get a one-on-one time with these candidates. I mean, can we as a commission as a whole decide to not come that Saturday? I mean, do we really have to be, that way the residents don't have to feel an intimidation factor?
That's our one-on-one time.
No. It's Friday, I apologize, the Friday, when they're going to do the meet and greet. I mean, if the residents, because I've heard it before with the city attorney that some of them did feel a little intimidated or whatever. I mean, we might not look, I don't look intimidating, but maybe somebody won't like me to be there, right? And I want the residents to feel free to, if they want to ask questions, they can ask it.
My personal opinion, Mayor, I 50% agree and 50% don't agree. My part about agree is you're right in case but if I can tell you from my point, if I come Friday night, I'll sit up here and won't even go down there. I won't even interact with them.
So why come?
Because I'd like to see how they're going to interact with the residents.
I agree.
I want to see how they're going to interact with them.
Okay, I try.
I won't talk to none of them, but I want to see how they're going to interact with people. Because if they're going to treat them or ignore them, I don't care which one of this list is on there. If you're going to ignore somebody, if they don't like, sorry, we all know, if they don't like Elbert Bryant's attitude and they ignore him,
Tough luck for them, because all I'm saying is, if any of them do treat any of our residents wrong, I promise you that that's the first thing we're going to find out. I mean, we're going to do whatever the commission wants. You guys want to be here, that's fine. I'm personally going to tell you guys right now, I won't be here for the simple fact that if the residents are going to feel uncomfortable with me being here, I don't hover, but I'm not perfect, but if it makes it more comfortable for me to not be here, I won't come.
I would watch it.
Because I'm going to have my personal time with each one of these candidates.
Well, I would watch it from TV, but our TVs and microphones don't seem to work all the time, so just saying.
Go ahead, Commissioner Avila.
I was going to suggest.
What?
Good. I think he unmuted his mic back, so go ahead.
Oh, I agree with you, Mayor. I don't think I would want to be here, just sitting up here watching from up here. I think it would be more intimidating just us sitting up here watching. But that's where the audience is going to sit.
Mayor, if I may, real
Can
quick.
I interject?
Sure.
Okay, so typically the way the public meet and greets work is about 15 minutes in, because you want to give time for everyone to show up. The mayor will welcome everybody to the event, and then they give each candidate about 3 minutes to introduce themselves. And I think we like to have the commissioners at the public meet and greet because it's a nice icebreaker for the interviews the next day. So maybe a compromise could be you come at the beginning. And again, this is for you to decide. This is just a suggestion from me. But you could come at the beginning, do the opening, listen to how they introduce themselves, because that will also give you a clue as to who they are. And then you can watch for a little bit and meet them informally, which will be an icebreaker before the one-on-ones the next day. And then maybe at a certain point, if you're not comfortable staying the whole event, you don't want to stand around and watch, then you've made that introduction and you can go home and have your one-on-one the next day. So it doesn't have to be all or nothing. It can be kind of a compromise as well.
Mayor, the other thing I was going to suggest, if you want to, we can extend the time to 8:30. I know we extended to 8, but we can make it a little bit longer, so that gives you time to come in and do the introduction, let them introduce themselves, gives a little more time for the residents to interact with them, if y'all want to do something like that.
I liked your suggestion. I thought that was a good compromise. Come in, all of us, I guess, introduce ourselves, and then, after we all did our introductions or whatever, then let the residents have their time. We're going to do whatever the commission wants. So I'm happy either way. Apparently, I have to be here to give an introduction, so. Commissioner Shimkus, did you still want consensus on what you asked for? I told you I would come back to that.
Yeah, thank you. I think just to maybe clarify a little bit, I was not anticipating that we were going to send out all of the questions in advance or anything of that nature. I understand that each commissioner on Saturday's public meeting will be selecting the questions to ask, and that's not going to be known until that day. And we'll have a list from the consultant that we can choose from or bring our own. Perhaps at the beginning of that meeting, we can have a huddle and determine our questions amongst us so we're not duplicating questions if that's an opportunity, but that's for Saturday. What I was suggesting was, and I understand the point of view that, bringing in a canned response is not valuable, and that's why, again, the majority of questions will be decided upon on Saturday. However, I think given the unique scenarios that are happening in Deltona and the fact that we have many issues that are any number of which anyone could say is the top issue, right? I think if you asked every candidate to decide what the top 3 issues were, you could get 9 different answers, right? So I just think there would be value if the commission said, you know, here is one issue that is something that we all know is an issue that we all know needs to be solved relatively quickly. It would be, I think, very helpful to see how each candidate can approach this issue and how they plan for it, what their experience is, give them an opportunity, because as important as it is to understand how someone thinks on their feet, that is not the deciding factor for everything. Some people do better or need a little more time to think through things. Some complicated issues aren't going to get a good answer when you give them 3 seconds to think about it. When they have a chance to do some research and bring some good past experience to a specific issue because they are prepared for it, I think that brings its own value. So that's all I was trying to get to, is if we can choose one of the many topics that we all know of, and I'm just going to say it now because if we decide to do it, great. If not, then they'll know that I'm going to ask them this in my personal interviews, and I'm more than happy if they are prepared for my personal interview. I think one of our major concerns in the city that would be kind of a root cause of many of our issues is our staffing issues. And I would ask each candidate that they should be prepared to talk about how they would plan to stabilize our staffing and to understand that we have a high turnover and how to address that. And I would ask them also that they consider the question from the point of view of what is the responsibility of a city manager in that process? What is the responsibility of your current department heads in that process? What's the responsibility of the public in that process? And what is the responsibility of the commission in that process? And I'll leave it at that. We can decide that we want to ask that as a commission and have them come prepared on Saturday to answer that in front of the public or not. I'm fine either way. They are watching. I would bet money they're watching this meeting, and they will at least now know that that's a question I intend to ask on Saturday during my one-on-ones. So thank you.
So just for clarification, you're asking for one question, but you're also asking for the follow-up question to not be kind of restricted to just, it can be open to whatever any of us decide a follow-up question can be, correct?
Well, the follow-up question was a separate topic about the general questions that we ask on Saturday. Yes, yeah. If we decide to limit ourselves to asking, once we decide here are the questions I'm going to ask on Saturday, if we decide that we're going to limit ourselves and say we're going to ask the same questions to every candidate, which I don't personally agree with, but if that's the will of the commission, fine. But if we do decide that that's going to be a limiting factor, I would then expect that if a candidate has a response to one of our canned questions on Saturday that is inspiring or leads us to a different question or a follow-up, that we have the freedom to do that follow-up, and it does not require that follow-up being asked of every other candidate as well.
Do you want to say something, Commissioner McCall? No. All right. Well, I think you took I think nobody else wants to say anything.
I'll talk faster next time, sorry.
Go ahead, Commissioner Shimkus.
Good, thank you.
So do we as a commission want to, what do we want to do? I keep hearing different things. I hear that we don't want to have set of questions because it keeps it more realistic. Or two, we want to ask a set of questions, or three, we just want to ask one question and the rest can be open. Commissioner McCool?
Listen, I still have a bad taste in my mouth from the last time pre-canned questions were shoved down my throat in the same question. So I'm just responding to that. And I understand that a lot of problems or a lot of questions have a lot more complexity that can be answered on their feet. I understand where Commissioner Shimkus is going with that, to demonstrate an ability to research, give them time, because it shows a depth of their character, whatever. But I think with that being said, that we are going through a pretty rigorous vetting process based on their experience, based on individual questions, and I appreciate where Commissioner Shimkus is trying to go. But again, I still have a bad taste in my mouth from the whole last process that we did, and would like for each of us to be free, because here's the thing, that manager is going to be thinking on their feet, and they're going to bring that level of experience with them answering those questions to begin with, right? They're going to bring that depth of experience, and knowing that they have to answer 7 questions plus, staffing plus resident questions. So while I understand where Commissioner Shimkus is going, I would just like the freedom to ask what I want to ask. In long-term planning, I think that question that Mr. Shimkus is, they're aware now of what's going to be asked, so I think that's already been kind of done, especially if you have a candidate or candidates that are listening to, this this meeting. So that's where I'm at with that.
So does the whole commission agree with just having consensus on everyone being free to ask whatever questions they have proposed? Is that what I'm hearing from the commission? Yes? Okay. Joyce, just because we have 2 others, can you just do it as a verbal consensus, please?
Commissioner Avila-Vasquez?
Yes.
Commissioner Colwell?
Yes.
Commissioner Harriet?
Sure.
Commissioner McCool?
Yes.
Commissioner Shimkus?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jody Lee?
Yes.
Mayor Avila?
Yes. All right. All right, so you have direction on how the meeting's supposed to go.
Mayor, just, you guys are still good with it looks like 20 minutes for each interview, for each person? Okay.
Yeah.
Are we going to stick to that time?
Yes.
So
don't
even
think we had an issue
if we
with that.
don't get all the way down the dais, we're going to stick to put the next person in?
Yeah.
I just want to make sure as far as, okay, logistics.
And then the other clarification is that you all are going to vote on the candidate on Monday night, correct? Okay. 10-4.
All right.
Can we get the input from the consultant on the time frame for the city commission as a whole interviews? Is it normal to kind of cut off at a specific time for the group interviews?
We have the time period, but because the interviews are sequential, the commission can take more or less time with each candidate. And so it won't impact, there are no other interviews happening, so it won't impact anything. So we actually recommend that you take the time you need with each candidate to feel comfortable with them. So you've already had the informal meeting at that public meet and greet. You've had your one-on-one. Maybe a lot of your questions have already been answered with one specific candidate, and you don't have as many questions for them. But with another candidate, you want to follow up with something from your one-on-one, or you have questions that are important to ask. So rather than sticking to the time frame, we recommend that you take the time you need to make the decision. And that could be 15 minutes for one and 25 for another. But again, ultimately, the decision is up to you. That's just our recommendation.
Thank you, Lynell. I suggest that we do that.
That's why I asked the question. But it's up to you.
Go ahead.
So I partly agree with Commissioner Harriet. I mean, what happens if we talk to somebody for 25 minutes and the other one's only 15? It still makes up for the time. I mean, if we extend the meeting, or we extend this question and answer for an extra half hour, I don't think it's going to make much of a difference, except for the people that have been here all day. But, I mean, an extra 5 minutes for people here and there, 5 minutes less from them ones, I don't think it makes much of a difference.
Commissioner McCool?
Listen, I suggest sticking to the time frame, because I think that I think that with the amount of time that we have to prepare for, right, the meeting, that some of us up here on the commission tend to run long-winded. And so I would like to stick to the okay? I like scheduling, okay? So sticking to that schedule, I just think that we have enough time in the schedule to stick to the schedule.
But that means you're going to be the only one that's going to talk for 20 minutes.
Yeah, you gotta police yourself.
So she should be last. She'll just switch seats so that whatever
That's
time
fine.
is left, you'll have.
And that's my concern. I just didn't like the comment that we're going to cut off wherever the time stops. The commissioners that we haven't gotten to don't get to ask questions. I just want to make sure that all of us get to at least voice any questions at least once. We might not get to go back and forth and have a whole lot of banter, but at least we all have an opportunity for each candidate to ask any additional or final questions that we've come up with.
Commissioner Harriet, I hear you loud and clear, and I will be very succinct and fast, okay?
I guess that means we're going to stick to our time.
I can't wait to see this.
Do you have any other questions, Commissioner Harriet?
No, sir, that's all. This has been a great meeting.
Okay, because your hand's still up. You don't see it, but I see a little yellow thing there.
I'll fix it.
Oh, thank you. All right. So, Glenn, you have direction. We're going to go ahead and go to Section C, discussion regarding the city attorney and future of that position.
Mayor and Commission, Vice Mayor, I'm sorry, Vice Mayor, I should put you first.
I'm used to being last.
On several occasions, members of the City Commission have brought up revisiting the city attorney applicants, which were presented and ranked by the City Commission on February the 5th, 2024. Or 23, I'm sorry. This item is so the City Commission can have a discussion and provide direction to the interim city manager as necessary. And I know when this was discussed the last time, it was brought up about the possibility of an in-house attorney also.
Commissioner McCool, then Vice Mayor Jody Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And this has been a lightning rod subject for a couple of years here based on, based on a lot of things. And my reason for asking that we get this consensus and finally get this put out to a workshop is, in noticing these things here, is that the city has had, we've had this history, and I'm going to tell you what triggered this for me, is that I just really wanted a larger firm for our city. And when I say that, because there are people that specialize in different things in our city. We have lawsuits, we have compliance, we have building and planning and development. We have a lot of things that go on in this city. And, the true reality of the situation is that we voted to terminate Fowler Feeney, and that Marcia was a part of that. And then at the same turn, we hired the lead attorney, or should I say, we know Skip worked, but we know that Marcia did the work. And my reason for this is that in moving forward with Deltona, the amount of ordinance land use work that we're going to do, Marcia specializes in that, and at no time do I want to lose that institutional knowledge, because I think despite whatever is said in social media or whatever, that the things working with Marcia one-on-one, I am happy with that. I'm satisfied. What I'm not satisfied with is the cities and the relationship between the city and the residents, because of the residents' perception of what it is that Marcia does or doesn't do. Number one being, I would really like to see the billing on this, and what I'm talking about is not for nefarious reasons, But because of the amount of work that we have to do that is being done on land development, I know that what we did, we voted on an ordinance to do the pass-through, which means that we will pass on the legal cost of our attorney to a developer in that respect. But I believe the voluminous amount of work that needs to be done to get Deltona to where it needs to be can't be done by Marcia alone. I don't have confidence in the fact the amount of volume of work with bringing on a new city manager and trying to correct the city, that any time that you need to correct, we are actually at an overcorrection point right now and adding ballast to the ship that is terribly off course. I believe that we're getting there, but I believe that one of the ways to bring back some type of trust for this commission and for our processes is to clean that area up. And doing that, we need to bring on more legal help. So all the other stuff, the actual faults that have happened, and what I mean by that is I have a problem with the fact that we allowed for a developer to come in here and use a traffic impact, and I'm using an example, and using a traffic impact analysis from 2009 and watch that developer walk out of our city with $8 million in proportionate fair share because either our legal advice told us to do that or allowed it to continue on. That, to me, is unforgivable because it cost our taxpayers money. It's going to cost our taxpayers money. So I would like for us to improve upon what we have right now. And in order to do that, we have to bring in fresh eyes. We have to bring in more help. We still need to finish up our compliance with, what am I trying to say? It's I'm sorry, I'm losing my words right now. But no, not our comp plan, but where we have people, our accessibility, right? We need to finish up our accessibility. There are things in our whole comp plan that are going to have to be redone and looked at with fresh eyes. And when I say fresh eyes, I'm not implying that Marcia is not up on what is to date, but what I mean is that there's a reason that there are 7 of us sitting up here, because we get to look at different areas with different levels of either expertise, right, or wisdom or experience. And we need that same level of eyes on where we're trying to go with the city. What I'm not okay with are the personal attacks on Marcia. What I'm not okay with is the rampant rumors and conjecture and outright lies that go along with that. What I have an objection to is people not really knowing or having a relationship with Marcia and spreading BS. What I'm also not okay with is that it's been a long time that we have not have proactivity as far as our comp plan, as far as a lot of things, because of just the sheer volume of work. So that's where I'm at with this. That's why I asked this. I do not want the narrative to be that it's anything other than we need more help in this city, right? And the reality of the situation is that there are bad feelings still tied to Fowler Feeney that Marcia was a part of, and you're never going to make that go away until you bring in fresh eyes. So that's where I'm at. And Marcia, I respect you immensely. I think you know that. I never voted on your contract because I thought that we needed fresh eyes. I was pissed. I was upset to no end on the Saturday that we paraded in different law firms, and then we sent them away like it was a dog and pony show, and that was horrible. And I think that we've worked really hard over this last year to correct that, as far as soliciting help that will be a charter officer and that will be a partner in our city to getting us where we need to go. So I just wanted to state that publicly and hope that we can move forward bringing in a new city manager. And in bringing in new legal eyes, we can really get ahead of all the land use. We can be proactive in heading off lawsuits that we had, and that's what I want to see. So I wanted to publicly state that and move forward with inviting these legal firms back that we had before and talk about having an in-house attorney, which in doing so, we're still going to have to bring in other people because there's not one dadgum attorney that I believe, you know what I mean, that can do all of that. I would rather have a firm, and in the long run, when you have a billable hour from that firm, they are going to have other attorneys working with them on that billable hour. So while the billable hour may be larger, it's going to take less time. And I want us to think about that also. You might have someone that bills lower per hour, but it's also going to take more hours to do what you could maybe do with 2 billable hours when you have a team working on it. Those are the things that I want us to move through is efficiency and proactivity. Those are my 2 main things there. So that's where I'm at, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Jody Lee.
All very well said, Commissioner McCool, and whether I agree or disagree really doesn't matter. Right this minute, I think it would be dumb on our behalf with the city manager thing. Now, if you want to bring it back up after the whole city manager thing's done, I'm more than happy to entertain, but I think right now to do 2 charter officers right this minute, I think would be insane. That's just my opinion. Doesn't mean I'm right, doesn't mean I'm wrong. That's just my opinion. And a larger firm with all the different stuff going on might be right where to go. I mean, you're right, with all the rumors and stuff out there, I heard she's getting, $500,000 a year, $900,000 a year, but it's not true. I actually have the billing on the dashboard of my car, and I think it's 500 or 400 and something throughout the year, because I have all month to month for the last 12 months, so I know how much it is, and it's nowhere closer to all the BS that's out there. I just think right now we should get the city manager thing done, and we keep talking about it. This going back and forth is taking a toll on the city. It's taking a toll on the attorney. I mean, I get it, but I think right now with the city manager thing going on, she's been very loyal to people, and that there has to be something for that. And at the same time, with the city manager thing going on, I personally would wait until after we get the city manager in place, and then if we want to bring it back up. But anytime I went to her right now, she gives me the answers I need. She helps me with what I need. And I don't have to agree with everybody in the city because I'm not. But there is a thing called loyalty where she's helped. She's been through the thick and thin with different parts of the city. Everybody doesn't like the outcome. I understand. But right now, I think with the city manager thing going on, it's a mistake.
We got Commissioner Villa-Vasquez and Commissioner Harriet, then Commissioner Shimkus.
Thank you, Mayor. I agree with you, Vice Mayor. I think too many changes at one time is not wise for us to do here in City Hall. We're having a new city manager, and I think that Marsha will be a lot of help for that city manager. As it is right now, we're short in a lot of departments in staff, and she has jumped into that department to help as much as possible. I'm not disagreeing with you, Commissioner McCool, but at this point, it's not the right time to come in with a new attorney. We have to have somebody to guide the city manager, the new city manager. And Marsha's been here a long time, and I think she will do a good job helping that new city manager move along with what's happening in the city, whatever's pending, what's not pending, and what's going on in the different departments. So this is not the right time to do that.
Commissioner Harriet, then Commissioner Shimkus.
Thanks, Mayor. I agree with Ms. Ms. McCool and Jody. I don't think today is the right time to make any definite changes, but perhaps maybe in 30 days, maybe the second meeting in May. And I think that we would be doing ourselves and the city a disservice if we just went and looked for another firm that could represent us. If I may ask, Glenn, how many firms do we already rely on? Because I know that it's more than just Marcia. Marcia is the charter officer, fits that position, but we also rely on a few other firms, specialty firms, correct?
Yeah, I think Marcia can talk at this point. Our carrier, our insurance carrier that handles insurance claims that we have, they contract with the Roper firm, and so we have a number of lawyers who are our insurance carrier that are working on specific claims. That's the only other lawyers that we are involved with at this point.
Okay. So we've still got specialty attorneys out there. I think that, and for all transparency, I had a conversation with Colin Basinger about this a few weeks ago, and I think we would another disservice would be not looking at pursuing a city attorney through a professional search firm the same way that we did with the city manager. I know that we could, and it's not all about saving money, it's largely about doing what's right, and I think that finding general counsel through that means would allow the city to be a little bit more studious with our tax dollars. And I think that there's also a plan that we could put together that would include Marcia, so that it's not just a drop-off and a pickup. There's some overlap and some onboarding and relying on that institutional knowledge that she has. But I also agree with Jody Lee that this meeting is not probably the right time, but I would like to see it come back on a regular commission meeting here in the next month or 6 weeks. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Commissioner Shimkus.
Thank you. So I think, again, this is not about, number one, I don't think the idea was tonight we're going to make a change. So that was not, I don't think, part of the plan here. I think it's important to understand that we do need to consider, a strategy moving forward, right? So I would, a couple things. Number one, no, this is not about just dumping Marcia and getting rid of her. That's not, I know the public, has been a thorn in our side on this topic because they have a lot to say, and a lot of it, as Jody had mentioned, is a little bit misinformed. But that's not about just dumping one and going for another. We absolutely need to work toward a plan. I think we need to start that plan tonight. I don't think we need to keep pushing that part down the road because these things do take time. So, top of my mind really is contingency planning, right? Someone can get hit by a bus tomorrow, and then where are we? We have a single point of failure in a critical part of our city right now, and I think that we need to at least have a plan for that. So another thing to consider really has been, if you look at the invoices that come out and you do some, very admittedly kind of generic math, you get averages of 50, 60, 80, 70 hours a week of work from one person. And in my industry, that's not sustainable. If I have my staff coming to me saying that they're putting in 70 hours a week, what I know is happening is things are getting missed. And I don't think that's sustainable. So that's where my root of my concern is that we need to look at sustainability of this department moving forward. So my question, and I'll put it in a more of a motion so that we can kind of move forward here, we do need to start this planning process now. I think Marcia is a critical player in our city and should absolutely be part of that process. It's not about, again, kicking anyone out or doing anything drastic, but I would think that we would want to, number one, look at the two firms that were already searched for and ranked and see if, number one, are they still interested, have them resubmit a proposal to at least begin the conversation. And to Commissioner Harriet's point as well, we could also look at a general counsel. And I also had, several meetings with Marcia, and one idea that, I had mentioned was perhaps there is a hybrid model that we can look at where we have an attorney staff within our city, where we have a head lead attorney. They have a couple paralegals that can do a lot of the grunt work that doesn't need to be billed out to our top attorney for every document to be read, every email to be read. I think we can farm some of that out to some other people to kind of lessen the load on a single individual. And we perhaps can look at defining an in-house legal, system. I just think that we need to start that now. And so I would make a motion that we, at the very least, submit a request to the two last top-ranked firms, which I do believe are Cobb Cole and Fishback, thank you, and have them at least submit back whether or not they are remaining to be interested and if their proposal has changed, and then absolutely schedule this for a workshop in the next, I would request that we have this workshop in at least the next 60 days, whatever time is appropriate, available in that next 60 days, to start this conversation and stop just pushing it down the road. We do need to start this tonight, so that's my motion. Thank you.
It's a motion by Commissioner Shimkus.
Second.
There's a second by Commissioner Harriet. I do want to give some input, and then I'll go to Commissioner McCool, and then we'll go to the public. I think both Commissioner McCool and a couple of us, Commissioner Harriet, Commissioner Shimkus, I think we've been very adequate when we say that this isn't a bashing fest on Marcia. I can attest to being the only one on this dais that didn't even have her in the top 3. And I've gone to Marcia, and I've asked her questions, and Marcia has not treated me any differently. That also doesn't mean that I am demanding, and I'm not, don't think I'm picking on you, please. Okay? This has nothing to do with loyalty. She has her job. Her loyalty should be to the city of Deltona, not to anybody on this dais. Her responsibility is to protect the city from being sued and to make sure that we're not doing stupid stuff that we're not supposed to. So that is her responsibility. So, correct, I feel that we've outgrown the position since Fowler. That's why I didn't pick Marcia, and it wasn't personal. I would have preferred either Fishback or Cobb Cole or whoever it was that we would have ended up with, but you're correct. We're about to start working on our land use codes. Comp plans gets done. That's a legislative requirement. That's fine. But when we start working on our land use codes, when we start working on a lot of stuff that we're about to work on, I would like to see a pair of fresh eyes look at it. I would like to see a law firm that's going to be giving us advice along the way, preferably one that has experience with land use codes, even if they have been on the other side, kind of coming against us at times, right? But I think it's time for that. Look, we're considered a metropolitan city, or am I incorrect, Madam TPO representative? So I mean, we need to start acting like a grown-up city, and we need someone that's going to represent us in that fashion. So. Well, we have a motion, we have a second, so we got Commissioner McCool, and then we'll go to the public.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All very valid points, and we have kicked this down the road in the interest. I mean, there's no good time to have a child. Sorry. You are never going to be rich enough. You're never going to be prepared. You're never going to be parental enough.
You're picking on me now, right?
Well, I'm just saying. My point is that we must start this process, and this is not a competency issue. I will say to the public and even my staunchest deflectors that it, I have all confidence in Marcia's competency as far as information. When I've gone to her, all my questions have been answered. What I have a problem with is proactivity, because even if we have Marcia is going to be dedicated and we say we want this comp plan done, Marcia is going to need to be focused on this, because this is time specific. We need legislatively, we need to get it done. We need to get it done for the health of our city. We need to get it done for the confidence of our city. If you have somebody that we're asking to spend 50 hours a week on getting our comp plan pushed through, then where's the other stuff that's going on? Where is going to the meetings? Where is a lot of stuff? It's not an issue of competency. It's an issue of volume at this juncture. All the other superfluous stuff, I listen to my constituency. I understand what they're saying, but I also work hand in hand. I want to be time specific on this. I want Marcia here with the city as we get the city manager in, but we're, for all intents and purposes, other than the vote on Monday night, have decided who the city, the vote will decide who the city manager, the new city manager will be. That will be Monday night. I think that time specifically that no less than, because we've waited at some juncture, all of us have waffled on the position, on Marcia's position as a charter officer. There have been times we've each voted to, let's go ahead and do this process. We've all, with maybe the exception of Commissioner Vasquez, we've changed our position at different times on this, right? Because of the need. There's never going to be a good time to do this, but there's never going to be a right time to do it. But now is the good time to do this. I agree that she needs to be here to get the city manager, the new city manager, up to date. I do agree that Marcia has the most institutional knowledge, and that doesn't need to be discounted. But for the sanctity of our city and moving forward as we're doing and progressing, we need to do what I believe that Commissioner Shimkus suggested. We need to make it time specific, okay, for 30 days that we will have a workshop that will include information on the two firms. I would like that done immediately within the next 14 days so that the commission can be advised if these two the last two entities are still interested in the job, and if so, if not, that will give us time to go out again. But the public's already met with vetted law firms. We have good law firms at hand if they're still interested. So I would like it time specific that the city manager go back to these firms. Those are phone calls that should be handled within 5 business days. I don't see a law firm neglecting to call a city back when we're soliciting them right for position. But we should know that. I think no longer than 30 days from today, we should have a workshop, and what I mean by that is that we will have information presented back from the city manager to us. It'll give us time to have seated the city manager, and that we move forward. This is our other charter officer that we're talking about. We do, to Commissioner Vasquez's point and to Vice Mayor's point, yeah, there's a lot going on right now, but my Lord, the amount of stuff that we have to do, the volumes of stuff that we need to do dictates that we need to take care of this now tonight and not kick the can down the road any longer. So I agree with Commissioner Shimkus's motion, but I think that it should be mentioned as time specific because our public has waited 3 years now. We need to do that tonight. We need to decide tonight that we do that in 30 days. That will give us time to get the new charter officer seated and move forward, that we bring it back for a workshop specifically on this matter with the input from the city manager regarding the other law firms, and at that time decide if we're soliciting other attorney firms. But we need to move forward on this. The volume of work that we're going to have is going to be a lot.
We're going to go to public comment, then we'll go to Vice Mayor Jody Lee and Commissioner Harriet.
Kathy Bryan.
It's a long walk up here. Kathy Bryan, Deltona. When I was here when we had all the attorneys here to interview, and I talked to each one of them, including Marcia, and I had concerns at the time because Marcia's a single person. I said, I had concerns, how are you going to do it all? Because there's so many realms, and I think a lot of times people up on the dais were looking at a price tag. And that's what the sale was, right there, was the price tag. And I said, but there's going to be other costs because you're going to have to pull in other people, et cetera, et cetera. If I was one of those law firms, I'd say, yeah, if you're bringing me money, go ahead. But honestly, I'd give you the finger after that whole thing. But I do agree that you do need to start really pushing for what you're going to do. You need to get it in your mind. You don't necessarily need to make a decision tonight, but you do need to make something time specific. Going over the microphone. Something time specific, because it does need to be taken care of. There's way too much in this city, and it was way too much for one person to handle, and even with doling it out. And some of the things that get doled out aren't getting handled like they should. It was nothing against Marcia, whether she believes that or not, but that's what I have. Good night.
Carolyn Hickerson.
Thank you for letting me come up here. We've just shown how we can work together as a city with putting confidence in our citizens and helping us find superior candidates for a manager. I can't talk about that. But I do want to say that we ignored the citizens, and we disrespected these firms, and we depleted our confidence in the citizens having confidence. That was not Marcia's fault. That was you guys' fault. Y'all did that. You brought in all of the attorneys. You let all of the citizens have our input, and then you didn't care. And so our confidence was depleted. And unfortunately, that rested on the shoulders of Marcia. So I think, in my opinion, an in-house attorney with paralegals is an excellent idea. I don't think you should just limit yourself to firms. And I think it would give us the ability to stabilize billing and have transparency. And I can't believe I'm going to say this out loud, but I think you need to wait until you have a city manager on staff where he can be part of that decision-making, and he can have input in who he's going to work with or she's going to work with, so that they have continuity. And I'm ready for us to have a new beginning for our city completely and for us to start over. Thank you.
Albert Bryan, please.
You know, everybody knows I'm not bashful about this, because this is my city. Whether y'all like it or not, I've been here so many years, in this area for so many years. As far as I'm concerned, this is disgusting. She should be disbarred for just things she's done inside this chambers. She should be disbarred. For you to even think she should be here another day, y'all should be removed. It's that simple for me. We put up with this crap for how many years now? Before it was Feeney and, God, what is his poor name? Anyhow, and now you bring back somebody that was with him. And she was the problem the whole time. I mean, really? She overbilled then. She's overbilling now. She's brought failed ordinances in front of you because she expanded on them so much that you couldn't pass them. Renter, right off the top of my head, is the renter ordinance. Biggest failure I've ever seen because she expanded so much into it. And somebody said something about the ordinance for pass-through. Oh, that's right, you're not actually using her ordinance, are you? You're using one that was already passed because she failed you. It's a continuous pattern of failure over failure over failure and corruption that I just don't understand how you people cannot see it. For the life of me, I know at least 3 of us residents have sent in paperwork to the bar to have her disbarred just because of what she said inside this room. One example was on September 19th. She stated that somebody should get a severance. Her boss contradicted her. They cannot do that. Just one example.
Vice Mayor, you still want to talk? Vice Mayor Jody Lee, then Commissioner Harriet, then Commissioner McCall.
Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. You know, Commissioner Shimkus said 30 days, whatever it is. The city, we get a new city manager. He's not going to come in until June, probably sometime in June. Yeah. We're saying this, we're going to vote Monday. Our news manager is not going to be here until probably June. So we're still looking at a few weeks. We're not talking about tomorrow morning. We're not talking about Monday. We're going to vote and we're going to have a new manager Tuesday. Not going to happen. If they've got jobs, they have to give notices. They got families. They got to move. They got to relocate. We got to go over their pay. We haven't even determined what we're going to pay somebody. So we have a lot to contemplate. If everybody wants to do this, let's take a vote. Let's do it. Get it done. But I think we should still wait until our manager is here in a position and the new manager can help us guide on this. And then we can also let the residents go for it too. They can participate. Put it back out for bid. Put it out for bid now. It's going to take 30 days for us to get people that want to participate. The same attorneys that were here before might not want to do it again. Because no matter what we're going to do, right, if anybody realizes, it's still going to take 5 people to make the determination.
Just for clarification, I think that's what Commissioner Shimkus is talking about, is for us to have a workshop on it, not that we're going to vote for a new city manager right away.
Yeah, well, if this is the case, instead of even having a workshop for it, we can direct Glenn tonight, right now, to put it out for bid. It'd be 30 days.
I'm good with that, too.
Because when it comes down to it, we're still going to have to do the interview process, and we still have to vote. And she's, whatever way it goes, still needs 5 votes. That's it.
Commissioner Harriet and then Commissioner McCall.
I'm not sure that putting it out for bid is the right thing. I think the conversation still needs, I mean, unless you guys are certain that that's the best way to go, but I still think that we need to look at hiring somebody in-house. So unless we're putting out an RFP for another headhunter to find a legal counsel.
Commissioner McCall.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I think that we do not need, again, to kick the can down the road, because we'd already talked about firing Marcia immediately on several occasions. What would we have done at that point? We knew we had to get a city manager in here. It's all fluff. They're very germane points, but what I mean is that we've been here before already. And just for clarification, the city manager is a charter officer and really doesn't have input on another charter officer. They're going to work with whomever. That's a resident and commission thing, just for clarity. So, you know, my thing here is that we have been here before, that we know that we're going to have to do this process. I understand. When is it, may I ask whoever wants to answer this, what is the anticipated date of seating the new city manager? Glenn?
Or Joyce?
Joyce?
It's going to depend on Monday. Say you make your decision, then us contacting them. You guys have to determine who's going to negotiate the contract. It could take, I would say, anywhere from 30 to 60 days. That's been kind of the norm, and that's provided that they're not that far. They can drop it's going to take a good 30 to 60 days.
Yeah, here's the thing, that's fine and dandy, but I want quantifiable, because we are poor sometimes at follow-through, right? Because we have a lot that we're juggling with. I want quantifiable expectation. If we're going to workshop this in 30 days, we need to do that. We know what the need is. We're going to have to work out the details. Do you go to RFP? No, and it's my belief, no, we don't need a headhunter for a firm. All of the firms that we would be looking at need to be within 25 miles here, so I don't think that we need to send that out. It's not the same as looking for a city manager. We have done this successfully before and had great firms in here, and we fumble that football. So I'm just simply asking that within 30 days, we have a workshop. We have that feedback. What did the two firms say that were left standing last time? And I think that after we have that answer, we've done all of this process before. The public's met them. I believe that future recommendation would be based on their answers, because we've already done this before. If those two firms are still interested, I believe that we bring them back. These are people that have knowledge, have watched our meetings, that understand where we're at with land use. They're local, they've watched and followed us. So does my suggestion, I'm sorry?
And some have fought us.
Yeah, well, yeah, and some have fought against us. So my suggestion is that we proceed with consensus on having the city manager report back to us 2 weeks certain. That will give him time in the next couple of days to send communication out. That will give him time next week, right, to receive answers back if we put that expectation that we would like to hear within 5 business days. Simple yes, simple no if they're interested. That will give us 2 weeks. If the city manager can come back to us, the interim city manager can come back to us within 14 days, time specific. So that would be what, the next regular commission meeting, Mr. Glenn?
First meeting in May.
First meeting.
It would be the
Okay.
first meeting in May, I'm sorry.
So can I get consensus? I know that there's a motion on the floor, right, a motion to maybe amend that motion to state that we will move forward based on what Mr. Wickham brings back to us, the response from the other two, and then we will formulate with consensus what we should do next time. Is that, Mr. Mayor?
Days, Commissioner Shimkus, did you hear Commissioner McCool, and would you like to amend your motion to include her stipulations of within 2 weeks, or the first meeting of May, that we get a report back on the 2 prior law firms, or all the law firms that?
The two that we, the finalists.
The two finalists. And then, did you want to amend your motion?
I don't believe amendment is necessary. That was the motion, was to have him reach out to these 2 candidates and have them come back to us and put a meeting on the books. I had suggested within 60 days, considering all the stuff on our calendar. If Mr. Manager believes that the first meeting in May is doable to have information, I can amend it to May 1st or the first meeting in May, that's fine with me. But that was the motion, was to have those 2 firms contacted and then forward us the response whenever you get it.
Okay, just that, I wanted that time specific.
Would May 1st be doable, City Manager?
I can get the information by then. If you would rather meet on it again in the middle of May, we can do that. It gives it a little more time.
I simply asked for that. Here's the thing. We don't want to plan anything else. I want everything else off the table until we hear the response back at the first meeting in May, and then we can garner consensus at that time as to what the body would like to do moving forward. That's simply the task for right now, Mr. Wickham, is that doable, just for you to find the yes or no answer and bring that back to us at the 1st of May?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So the answer was yes, Commissioner Shimkus.
I'll second.
Yes.
Okay. So Commissioner Shimkus did amend his motion. Commissioner Harriet, I know you seconded before and your hand's up. Go ahead, and if not.
If if we're still just waiting for that yes or no, whether they're interested as a next step, I want to clarify that the city attorney is a charter officer. We have two options here. You can hire a firm to be the charter officer, or we can hire an individual to be the charter officer, and instead of paying billable hours, you can just pay a salary.
So
it's not a search firm to find another firm.
So just for clarification,
there's two different
Commissioner
routes
Harriet,
here.
for clarification, the motion on the floor is specifically to get an answer from the two firms on a yes or a no, and then from there, by May 1st, and then from there, to come back and we'll have a game plan, I get in a workshop, if I'm not mistaken, to see how we're going to move forward, whether it's going to be with a law firm or an in-house attorney.
I'd like to not have it in a workshop because we can't provide direction in a workshop. I think it needs to come up on an agenda item so that we can provide direction.
Okay. Do you want to expound on that?
Yes. Commissioner Harriet, we will follow with all of that, but right at this juncture, what I suggested, because moving forward, we can do anything after the fact. I just wanted this motion made and consensus for 2 weeks. Nothing else after that. We don't discuss anything. We don't expound on anything until we can do it after this becomes an agended item in 2 weeks. This will be on the agenda where we can talk freely about it. Mr. Wickham, would you do that as an agenda item, or would you do that just as simply as a report, yes or no, and then get consensus for what to do next?
I can do it either way you would like to do. If you just want a report, or if you want it on a commission agenda item, I can do it either way.
My point is that I'd like to see it at a regular commission meeting, not a workshop. That's all.
So
I'm great with this.
Guys, we have a point of order by Commissioner Avila Vasquez.
Yeah, this is like really getting out of track here, and I like to call a vote.
All right, Commissioner Avila Vasquez has a right to call for a vote, so we're going to go ahead and do a vote. Verbal vote, please. And if you can just reiterate one more time before we do the vote so there is no confusion afterwards. Clarify, please.
So I don't know if Commissioner Harriet agreed to the 30 days
so would
that's
you,
amended. So
would you like to retract your second, Commissioner Harriet?
No, I'm fine with the second.
Okay, he's going to stay with the second.
Do you want me to vote? Commissioner Avila Vasquez? Yeah, that's fine.
Did
Can you please clarify?
Yeah. The motion is to submit a request, to have the interim city manager submit a request to reach out to the last two top-ranked firms and have them submit back whether they are still interested and if their proposals have changed, as well as reconsider this topic at the first meeting in May.
I continue to say this is not the right time to do this. I'm not disagreeing with what you guys want to do, but this is not the time. We are short-staffed in just about every department in the city of Deltona. This is not the right time. I vote no.
Go ahead.
Commissioner Colwell?
I'm also a no. I don't think this is the right time. I agree with that. I think we need to decide on which way we want to go before we start reaching out to firms or individuals. I think we need to talk about that prior to making these motions.
Commissioner Harriet?
I'm a yes.
Commissioner McCool?
Yes.
Commissioner Shimkus?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jody Lee?
Right now, at this time, I'm a no. I would wish, Glenn, you'd still reach out to them two law firms and get us an answer back. And then we can, once you get us an answer, we can bring it up in commissioner comments and discuss it then.
That's what this is for.
It's only to get, wait a minute. See, I'm all confused on this. You guys are, it's only a motion to talk and to find out if they're still interested.
yes.
That's it, right?
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Take it back, yes.
Mayor Avila.
Yes.
Okay. The motion passes 5-2.
Motion passes 5-2. All right, city manager comments?
I would like to defer to the city attorney to make her comments at this time.
Just one quick point of order. Did you not have an announcement for the commission? You,
No, I don't have.
Finance Director?
Oh, yes. We had another resignation submitted for a department head. Our finance director has turned in a resignation effective April the 16th. So I was going to call you all individually, but I'm letting you know now.
2 weeks. 2 weeks ago.
Can I? One more thing to that, I did try to talk her into staying. I did give her the weekend to come back, and she, again, today said that she felt it was the right time for her to leave at this point.
I don't have any comments at this point.
Okay, meeting's adjourned.
Mr. Bryant, could you hang around for